Okay, heck of a ball game. Two evenly matched teams, I think. Coming into it, kind of felt that was the case. Our schedules had been relatively similar, and those guys are they're a good ball club, well coached, and got good players. The quarterback's as good as advertised. He's hard to tackle. He's just so big and athletic. Just really happy for our guys. It's been a long month and a half, so just to get that victory is obviously pretty good. Take some questions.
Speak to your defense. Other than the Texas Tech's last drive, everything they scored was off the short field. It looked like they played pretty well. Were you pleased with what you saw?
Yeah, I was. I mean, they're going to move the ball, and I think getting the one stop in the red zone where Darryl got the interception, that was big. Holding them to a couple of field goal attempts was big. They exceeded what my expectations were defensively, just because of how potent these guys are. And without saying it earlier in the week, I got asked this a bunch, but we obviously wanted to run the ball to. I didn't know I was going to run it that much, but do that just to kind of control it a little bit as much as we can. Felt like we could come into the game and run the ball. It's, what we did offensively, we've been kind of building towards this to be able to do it when we needed to do it, to rest our defense when we needed to be able to rest it. So I think overall it was a good team win. You needed all those things to happen in order to win.
Your changes on the offensive line with Lazard, do you think he played pretty well today for the most part?
It's hard for me to gauge that without the video. I loved his demeanor. I mean, I loved how he approached the week. We gave him the nod earlier in the week. Yadney's just not ready to go again. We expect to hopefully try him next week to develop some more depth. But I thought it was key that we could move Pankey back in. Tony Mattio's been doing a good job for us, but making that switch was more about Pankey being able to play guard because he's dominating at guard. And our inside zone stuff in the run game was really good, largely because Pankey was back in the inside where he's not been inside for the last couple of weeks. And it allows us to put Tony in there in different spots to rest Bosch when we need to do that. Couldn't have done it without Marcel stepping up. So proud of him stepping up and attacking the week. He looked at me before the game and said, "I'm going to earn your respect today." So I was happy with his attitude and his mentality and the way he approached it and the way his demeanor was on the sideline. I have to study the video, obviously, to see what the actual performance was.
You said you didn't expect to run it this much. Did you expect it to run it this much with two big backs in the backfield and, like you said, all the leads and powers?
Well, yeah, the one thing that Skyler does well is gets us into the right play in the run game, and he's able to execute quarterback stuff. It may not be flashy, he may not make a bunch of guys miss, but he gets us in the right play and he goes downhill. He had two backs that averaged 7.5 yards a carry. That's a credit to the offensive line, but Skyler has a role in that too because he's getting us into the right plays. They got to account for him because he can pull it and keep it any time. Allows us to go empty for them to have to spread the whole field, and he's able to be a run threat to where they have to keep it. So just overall was happy with all those guys, O-line, quarterback, and running backs.
The drive right before halftime, what made you decide to kind of push it with 28 seconds left, which got that field goal?
Well, the return. When you start, I think we started on about the 40. We got a good return. It kind of hung up in the air, and we got a good return, so we got it around the 40. I thought about what happened last week, and I didn't want to put our team in that situation. If we would have been backed up, I probably would have been more conservative. If you remember last week, I think we got a penalty, and we started on about the 9. So, we got it out there. I ran a couple of plays. We got 2 explosive plays in the run game, which put us in position. It's a big 3 points.
Dana, when's the last time you pushed a team around like that offensively, in your mind?
I don't know. I don't know. I think we've ran for 300 before, haven't we, Mike? So we ran for 300. We did a good job up front, but we've been building this team over the last couple of years to be able to do that. I mean, it's a far cry from what my background is and what the offense looked like when I first got here. It's the personnel that we have, so looks good, gets first downs. That's kind of what the point is.
Is it still hard for you sometimes to be a run-first guy? You threw the ball a few times late. You just keep things honest.
I thought that was the right thing to do. It's got to look better. I mean, I've been the first one to say since August 1st that it's my job to get us in the pass game to the point where that can be effective. We wouldn't have won if we would have continued to try to do that. We wouldn't have won. So we'll keep working on it. We got Karan White stepped up, made some plays today. That's another first-year receiver that's starting to do some good things. All those guys are going to continue to improve. Not giving up on Javon just because he dropped a couple of passes. We're going to continue to work them. They're going to continue to get better. If we weren't able to run the ball the way we were able to run it, we would have had to throw it. And when we do that, and when we're going to, there's going to be times over the course of the next 4 or 5 games where we're going to have to be better at the pass game, and that's my job to continue to do that. Yes, it's hard because I know what it's supposed to look like, and that's not what it's supposed to look like.
Dana, Grant had 5 catches for 8 yards.
Who's that?
Grant.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Surprised.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was a goal going in, but how much does that number go toward the final score, do you think?
Well, pretty good. I tell you, that kid, he's dangerous now. I mean, kicking to him, the way he covers ground and could catch that thing and get it upfield in a hurry, I mean, that's impressive. I was unaware of what his offensive stats were. That's obviously he was a focus of. We knew we had to stop the back, and then we had to account for number 11 in the pass game. I don't know exactly what 21 stats were. He's a heck of a back. I think we did a pretty good job at those 2 things. Wouldn't have guessed those stats for him, no, but that's a tribute to our defense.
When Mahomes moves around, how much does that just make your defense look almost like in jeopardy every time?
It's as close to backyard football as I've ever seen. And that by no means is that a knock on them whatsoever. It's a compliment to Mahomes of how he keeps the play alive. He's big. He's bigger than I thought he was, and he's smooth, and he can keep it alive, and he's strong. I didn't realize he was that strong. He was shedding tackles and does a great job of keeping his eyes downfield, and Cliff does a great job of coaching those guys to continue to play and play and play. That stresses the defense more than you can imagine.
They did for Shell.
Boosted his confidence, and there's no question. What he's like right now in the locker room, I haven't seen him like this since last year. So he's been working hard. He's been working through it. He's a good football player. Everybody knows he's a good football player. He knows he's a good football player. I know he's a good football player. Just hadn't had confidence and gained some today, and was awful good to see.
Dana, did it help to have Mario and all these former players back in here, and they talk to the team and all?
Just having their presence is good. Mario was down there, Will Clark was down there, Bruce Irvin was down there, Ivan McCartney was down there. Anytime those guys are able to come back, they know they're always welcome. I wanted to suit a few of them up because they look pretty good. God dang, Will and Bruce, those 2 guys could help us on the D-line getting to the quarterback.